Forget the old ways of cooking eggs. Hi friends, it's Nancy here. Most people cook eggs the same way every day without thinking much about it. But today, I want to share 15 simple and clever egg tips that can make cooking easier, tastier, and a lot more fun in your kitchen. Let's start with a breakfast idea that seems simple but works surprisingly well, making a soft and fluffy omelette right in a glass jar using the microwave with no pan needed at all. This method is perfect for busy mornings when you still want something warm and filling to start your day. You don't need to stand over the stove and you won't end up with a sink full of dishes afterward. All you need is a small microwave-safe glass jar or bowl, something most of us already have in the kitchen. Crack 1 or 2 eggs directly into a jar. Then add a spoonful of mayonnaise to keep the eggs soft and creamy while they cook in the microwave. Sprinkle shredded cheddar or mozzarella on top for extra flavor and a melty texture. Add a little salt or pepper if you like, or keep it simple for an easy and delicious microwave omelet. Once everything is in the jar, place the lid on and give it a good shake. This mixes the eggs evenly and you won't need to wash a whisk or fork afterward. Then remove the lid and place the jar in the microwave. Cook on medium power for about 2 minutes, stopping once halfway through to stir gently if needed. In just a short time, you'll have a warm, fluffy omelet that's perfectly portioned and easy to enjoy. And the best part is that there's no frying pan to clean afterward. Just rinse out the jar and you're done. It's a small change, but it can make busy mornings feel so much easier and more pleasant. This is one of those egg recipes that look simple but tastes surprisingly good. And before we move on, I'd love to know, where are you watching from today? Leave a comment and say hello. For the second idea, we're gonna make simple poached eggs in just a few minutes. Start by pouring about 3 cups of water into a saucepan and heating it gently until it begins to simmer. While you wait, prepare a small bowl and a fine mesh strainer. Crack 1 egg into the strainer and let it rest there for a moment. You'll notice that the thin and watery part of the egg white slowly drips away. This small step makes a surprisingly big difference, because removing the loose white helps the poached egg hold its shape and look much smoother after cooking. Once the extra liquid has drained off, carefully transfer the egg from the strainer into the bowl so it's ready to pour. When the water reaches a gentle simmer, take a spoon or any kitchen utensil you like and stir the water in one direction to create a strong whirlpool. This swirling motion helps the egg white wrap neatly around the yolk. Now slowly slide the egg from the bowl right into the center of the whirlpool. As soon as the egg touches the water, you'll see the white gently fold around the yolk, creating that beautiful classic poached egg shape. Let the egg cook for about 2 to 3 minutes if you enjoy a soft and runny center, or leave it a little longer if you prefer a firmer texture. Use a slotted spoon to carefully lift the egg out of the water, and you'll have a soft and delicate poached egg with a rich golden center, perfect for toast salads or even a quick breakfast bowl. It's simple, clean, and somehow always feels a little special, even though it's made with such basic ingredients. If you love egg yolks that are bright yellow and beautifully glossy, then this next recipe is for you, the perfect sunny side-up egg. Start by heating a small non-stick pan over low heat. Add a thin piece of butter and let it melt slowly until fully melted. Don't rush this step. The butter should not sizzle too loudly. Cooking gently helps keep the whites soft and the yolk smooth and shiny. Crack one egg into a small bowl first, then carefully slide it into the pan. This helps prevent the yolk from breaking. Keep the heat low and simply watch as it cooks. It almost feels like a small, peaceful morning ritual. After about 4 to 5 minutes, the whites will look soft and fully set while the yolk stays glossy and gently jiggly like sunshine in the middle of the pan. When you lift it onto a plate, the edges will look smooth, the center will be perfectly golden, and the aroma will be light and comforting. Sunny side-up eggs are not only delicious, they are also rich in vitamins A and D, which help support healthy skin and strong bones. Serve them with toast butter or a few slices of fresh tomato for a meal that feels simple, satisfying, and comforting at the same time. For this fourth tip, let's make one of the simplest and prettiest egg dishes, a classic fried egg, made right in the microwave. You do not need a frying pan at all, just a microwave-safe plate and a little butter or cooking oil. Start by lightly greasing the plate with a thin layer of oil. This helps keep the egg from sticking and makes it easier to slide off once it's cooked. Then crack a fresh egg right into the center of the plate. Try to keep the yolk centered so it stays round and beautiful in the middle. Next, use a fork to gently poke the yolk once or twice. This small step is very important because it allows steam to escape and helps prevent the yolk from bursting while cooking. Now, place the plate into the microwave. Cook on high for about 1 minute, and if you can, keep an eye on it through the microwave door. Microwave temperatures can vary a little, so after about 45 seconds, take a quick look to check the texture. If you enjoy a soft and runny yolk, 1 minute is usually just right. If you prefer the yolk more firm, continue cooking for another 10 to 15 seconds. Once it's done, be careful because the plate will be hot. Use an oven mitt or a kitchen towel to remove it safely. You'll have a perfectly cooked fried egg with a soft golden yolk and smooth, tender whites. You can enjoy it right away or serve it with a slice of buttered toast, some avocado, or even a few sautéed vegetables. It's quick, comforting, and such a lovely way to start the morning warm, simple, and full of homemade goodness. Next, let's make something warm, comforting, and nourishing, a soft and layered egg cup that comes together in just a few minutes. Lightly brush a thin layer of cooking oil inside a heat-safe cup or small bowl. This little step helps keep the eggs from sticking and makes them easier to scoop out later. Crack 1 or 2 eggs into the cup, add a splash of milk, and season with a little salt and pepper. If you like, you can also add a few finely chopped vegetables such as spinach, green onions, or bell peppers, whatever you happen to have at home. Stir gently until everything is combined together. Now sprinkle a little shredded cheese over the top. As it cooks, the cheese will melt into a rich and golden layer full of flavor. Place the cup into a pot with about 1 inch of simmering water, cover with a lid, and steam for about 4 to 5 minutes. When you lift the lid, you'll be greeted by soft and delicate eggs topped with melted cheese and colorful vegetables, warm, fluffy, and full of comfort. You can enjoy it straight from the cup or gently spoon it onto a plate for a breakfast that feels both simple and elegant. This is the kind of meal that feels like a warm hug. No frying, no mess, just gentle homemade comfort in every spoonful. It's a perfect choice for mornings when you want something light, soothing, and still filling enough to keep you satisfied. Here's another helpful little trick that can save you both time and effort, an easy way to peel hard-boiled eggs. Before boiling the eggs, use a needle or pin to gently poke a tiny hole in the rounded end of each egg. That end contains a small air pocket, and making a tiny hole there helps release pressure while the eggs cook. It also creates a little space between the egg white and the shell, which makes peeling much easier later on. Once the eggs are cooked, do not leave them sitting in the hot water for too long. Instead, quickly transfer them into a bowl of ice water and let them cool for a few minutes. The sudden change in temperature helps the egg whites shrink slightly, making them separate more easily from the shell. When you're ready to peel them, you'll notice how gently the shells come away, no tearing and no frustration. It's one of those small but clever kitchen steps that helps your eggs look beautiful every time, whether you're making breakfast or preparing a lovely salad. Don't go anywhere, because now I'm going to show you something a little more indulgent: eggs with a golden crispy cheese crust on the outside and soft tender eggs inside. It feels like something you would order at a cozy cafe, but you can make it right at home. Let's start with the boiled eggs from the previous tip. Cut each one in half and set them aside. Now heat a nonstick pan over medium heat with no oil needed. Sprinkle a little shredded cheese directly into the pan, making small circles slightly larger than each egg half. You'll hear a gentle sizzling sound as the cheese begins to melt and bubble. When the edges start turning lightly golden, place the egg halves cut side down into the center of each cheese circle. Cover the pan with a lid and let everything cook for about 3 to 4 minutes. The cheese will crisp up beautifully, forming a golden crust that sticks right onto the eggs. Carefully lift them out with a spatula, and that's it, the perfect balance of textures. Every bite gives you the crispy crunch of toasted cheese, together with the rich and creamy taste of eggs. This makes a quick, protein-rich breakfast or snack that tastes like something from a little cafe, rich, comforting, and easy to enjoy, yet surprisingly simple to make at home. And if you decide to try this recipe yourself, I'd love for you to share your thoughts down in the comments. Now that we've finished those perfect cheesy fried eggs, let's move on to something a little more elegant, but just as simple: perfectly poached eggs. Start by gently heating a pot of water until it begins to simmer. While the water is warming up, pour a little vinegar into a small bowl, then crack the eggs directly into the vinegar. Let them sit for about 5 minutes. The vinegar helps the egg whites hold together, giving your poached eggs a smoother and more rounded shape. Once the water is hot, but not boiling aggressively, carefully slide the eggs from the bowl into the pot. Gradually increase the heat and skim away any foam that rises to the surface. Poach the eggs for about 3 minutes if you like the center soft and runny, or up to 4 minutes if you prefer the yolk a little firmer. You'll see the whites turn soft, smooth, and opaque, gently wrapping around the rich golden yolk. When they're done, carefully lift each egg out and place them into a bowl of cool water to stop the cooking process. And that's it. Soft, delicate poached eggs that are rich and comforting, perfect with toast avocado, or even a fresh breakfast salad. If you want a simple egg dish that almost cooks itself, this little trick is perfect for you. Start by lightly brushing a thin layer of oil inside each cup of a muffin tin. This small step makes the eggs much easier to remove later and helps keep everything neat and clean. Crack 1 egg into each cup. Sprinkle a pinch of salt and pepper on top. Then add a slice of cherry tomato or a small handful of shredded cheese if you'd like a little extra flavor. You can even mix and match ingredients depending on what you enjoy. Preheat your oven to 374 degrees Fahrenheit or 190 degrees Celsius and place the muffin tin inside. Bake the eggs for about 5 to 6 minutes. You'll see the whites set beautifully, while the yolks stay soft and smooth. If you prefer firmer yolks, simply leave them in the oven for another minute or 2. When you take the pan out, the eggs will look glossy and delicate, and they should slide right out without much effort. These baked eggs are already delicious on their own, but they also pair beautifully with toast avocado or a simple salad. They're a wonderful option when you're cooking for several people or preparing a few meals ahead of time. Warm, gentle, and full of flavor. This is one of those comforting dishes that makes home feel especially cozy while taking almost no effort at all. If the first 9 tips were all about creative ways to cook eggs, then for tip number 10, let's talk about a small first step that many people overlook, even though it can make a big difference when cooking eggs the way you crack them. Most of us were taught to crack eggs against the edge of a bowl or frying pan. It seems quick and convenient, but this habit often causes 2 common problems. First, the sharp edge creates an uneven crack, which makes tiny shell pieces more likely to fall into the egg. Second, cracking eggs on the rim can push bacteria from the shell into the inside of the egg. Something we want to avoid, especially when cooking at home for ourselves or our families. A better and cleaner method is to crack the egg on a flat surface, such as a kitchen counter or tabletop. When you gently tap the egg on a flat surface, the crack spreads evenly across the shell, instead of creating sharp, jagged edges. This makes the shell easier to open without breaking it into tiny pieces. After tapping the egg, use both thumbs to gently pull the shell apart over a bowl. You'll notice the egg slips out much more smoothly, and there's far less chance of shell pieces falling inside. It may feel a little unusual at first if you've always used the edge of a bowl, but after trying it a few times, it quickly becomes natural. This simple change takes no extra time, but it helps keep your eggs cleaner, safer, and much easier to work with in the kitchen. Let's look at another small egg tip that many people have never tried: egg yolks preserved in honey for a gentle and comforting breakfast treat. First, carefully separate the yolks from the whites. Take your time with this step so the yolks stay whole and the thin membrane does not break. Gently place the yolks into a clean, dry glass bowl or a small glass jar. Next, slowly pour honey over the egg yolks until they are completely covered. Make sure no part of the yolks is exposed. Once everything is fully covered, close the container with the lid and place it in a dry, airy spot. Let it sit undisturbed for about 2 days. During this time, the honey will slowly draw moisture out of the yolks, changing their texture. The yolks will become thicker, smoother, and lightly sweet without the strong egg smell. Once they're ready, you can enjoy a small spoonful on its own or serve it with toast sandwiches or even a warm drink in the morning. The texture is soft and easy to eat, which many older adults especially enjoy. After using eggs in the kitchen, most of us automatically throw the eggshells into the trash. But eggshells still have value. They contain natural calcium, which can help support stronger roots and sturdier plant stems. After cracking the eggs, rinse the shells lightly with clean water to remove any leftover egg white. This step helps prevent unpleasant odors later on. Then allow the shells to dry completely. You can leave them on the counter to air dry naturally or place them in a container. Once the shells are dry, gently crush them, using your hands, a spoon, or the bottom of a cup. There's no need to turn them into a fine powder. Small pieces work perfectly well. Sprinkle the crushed shells directly onto the soil around your plants. You can use them for flower pots, garden beds, or indoor plants. Over time, the eggshells will slowly break down and release nutrients into the soil. This method is natural, gentle, and completely inexpensive. It's a thoughtful way to reduce kitchen waste while giving your plants a little extra care simply by reusing something that would normally be thrown away. Now let's go back to eggs for a moment. Have you ever cracked a bad egg into a dish you were preparing? This little trick only takes a few seconds, and it can help you avoid wasting ingredients or ruining a good meal. All you need is a bowl of water. Gently place the egg into the water and watch what happens. If the egg sinks to the bottom and lays flat, that's a good sign your egg is still fresh and perfect for cooking. If it tilts slightly upward, it's still fine to use, but you'll want to cook it soon. However, if the egg floats to the top, it means it's no longer fresh. As eggs age, air slowly enters through the shell and creates a larger air pocket inside, which makes the egg lighter, and that's why it floats. These eggs not only lose flavor, but they can also become unsafe to eat, so it's best to throw them away. So, what can you do when you have a lot of eggs in the kitchen, but don't want to store them in the refrigerator? I'd like to share a simple way to help whole eggs stay fresh longer by using salt. First, choose eggs that are clean, uncracked, and as fresh as possible. It's important not to wash the eggs before storing them because washing removes the egg's natural protective coating. That thin layer helps keep bacteria out. Next, prepare a clean container. A glass jar, ceramic bowl, or food-safe plastic container will all work well. Sprinkle a layer of dry salt across the bottom of the container. Carefully place the eggs on top of the salt, making sure they do not touch one another. After that, cover the container and keep it in a cool, dry place away from direct sunlight. The salt helps absorb moisture and creates a stable environment around the egg shells, slowing down spoilage and helping the eggs stay fresh longer. When you're ready to use the eggs, simply remove them, rinse away the salt, and cook them as usual. Many people enjoy this method because it's simple, affordable, and does not require refrigeration. But many home cooks prefer storing eggs in the refrigerator because it helps keep the kitchen cleaner and more organized. What many people do not realize, though, is that the way you place your eggs can actually affect how long they stay fresh. Never store eggs with the pointed end facing upward or laying on their sides. When eggs are positioned this way, the yolk can move closer to the shell and become more exposed to air, which may cause the eggs to spoil more quickly. Instead, always store eggs with the rounded end facing up and the pointed end facing down. This helps keep the yolk centered and the air pocket stable, allowing the eggs to stay fresh longer. Thank you so much for watching all 15 egg cooking and egg storage tips today. I hope these simple ideas will help make your time in the kitchen faster, easier, and more affordable every day. With just a few small changes, you can make your eggs taste better, feel softer, and stay fresh longer in the refrigerator. If you enjoy practical kitchen tips like these, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to Nancy Home so you don't miss new tips every week. Wishing you many warm and delicious meals with your family.